Matthew chapter 1. A book of descent of Yeshua. Christ, son of David, son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot Ioda and his brothers. Then Ioda begot Phares and Zara of Thamar, and Phares begot Hesrom, and Hesrom begot Aram, and Aram begot Amminadab, and Amminadab begot Naasson, and Naasson begot Salmon. Then Salmon begot Boaz of Rachab, and Boaz begot Iobed of Ruth, and Iobed begot Yesai, and Yesai begot David the king. Then David begot Solomon of the wife of Urios, and Solomon begot Roboam, and Roboam begot Abiah, and Abiah begot Asaph, and Asaph begot Iosaphat, and Iosaphat begot Ioram, and Ioram begot Ozias, and Ozias begot Ioatham, and Ioatham begot Achaz, and Achaz begot Hezekias. Then Hezekias begot Manasseh, and Manasseh begot Amos, and Amos begot Iosias, and Iosias begot Iconias and his brothers at the time of the sojourn in Babylon. Then after the sojourn in Babylon, Iconias begot Salathiel, and Salathiel begot Zorobabel, and Zorobabel begot Abiud, and Abiud begot Eliakim, and Eliakim begot Azor, and Azor begot Sadoc, and Sadoc begot Achim, and Achim begot Eliud, and Eliud begot Eleazar, and Eleazar begot Mathan, and Mathan begot Iacob, and Iacob begot Ioseph, the husband of Maria, from whom was born Yeshua, who is called Christ. Therefore all the generations from Abraham unto David are 14 generations, and from David unto the sojourn in Babylon are 14 generations, and from the sojourn in Babylon unto the Christ are 14 generations. Now the manner of the birth of Yeshua Christ was thusly: Maria his mother being betrothed to Ioseph, before their consummation had been found, having conceived in the womb by the Holy Spirit. And Ioseph her husband, being a just man, and not wanting to make an example of her, desired to put her away secretly. Then, upon his considering these things, behold, a messenger of Yahweh appeared to him in a dream, saying, Ioseph, son of David, you should not be afraid to take Maria your wife, for that which is in her is engendered of the Holy Spirit. And she shall bear a son, and you shall call his name Yeshua, for he shall save his people from their errors. Now all this happened in order that which had been spoken by Yahweh through the prophet would be fulfilled, saying, Behold, a virgin shall conceive in the womb, and she shall bear a son, and they shall call him Emmanuel, which is interpreted, God is with us. And Ioseph, arising from sleep, did as the messenger of Yahweh commanded him, and took his wife, yet did not know her until she bore a son, and he called his name Yeshua. Matthew chapter 2. Now Yeshua, being born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herodas the king, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, Where is he, having been born King of the Judeans? For we have seen his star in the east, and we have come to worship him. And hearing it, King Herodas was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And upon gathering all the high priests and scribes of the people, he inquired from them, Where is the Christ born? And they said to him, In Bethlehem of Judea. For thusly it was written by the prophet, And you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, by no means are you least among the leaders of Judah, for there shall come out of you a leader, who shall shepherd my people Israel. Then Herodas, calling the Magi secretly, exacted precisely from them the time of the appearance of the star, and sending them to Bethlehem, said, Going, you inquire precisely concerning the child, and when you find him, you report to me, that I also coming may worship him. And hearing the king they went, and behold, the star which they saw in the east went before them, until coming it stood above where the child was. And seeing the star, they rejoiced with an exceedingly great joy. And coming into the house, they saw the child, with Maria, his mother. And falling, they worshipped him, and opening their chests, presented gifts to him, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned by a dream not to go back to Herodes, they withdrew by another way into their country. And upon their withdrawing, behold, a messenger of Yahweh appeared in a dream to Ioseph, saying, Arising, take the child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and you must be there until when I should speak to you. For Herodes is about to seek the child, and to destroy it. And arising, he took the child and his mother at night, and withdrew into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herodes, in order that that which had been spoken by Yahweh through the prophet should be fulfilled, saying, Out of Egypt I have called my son. Then Herodes, seeing that he had been mocked by the Magi, had been exceedingly angered, and sending he slew all the children who were in Bethlehem, and in all of its borders, from 2 years and below, according to the time which he exacted from the Magi. Then that which had been spoken through Jeremias, the prophet, had been fulfilled, saying, A voice was heard in Ramah, much weeping and wailing, Rachel crying for her children. And she did not desire to be comforted, for they are not. Then upon the dying of Herodes, behold, a messenger of Yahweh appears in a dream to Ioseph in Egypt, saying, Arising, take the child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel. For those seeking the life of the child have died. And arising, he took the child and his mother, and entered into the land of Israel. And hearing that Archelaus reigns over Judea in place of his father Herodes, he feared to depart for there. But being warned in a dream, he withdrew into the parts of Galilee, and coming he settled in a city called Nazareth, that which had been spoken by the prophets would be fulfilled, that he shall be called a Nazarene. Matthew chapter 3. Now in those days Ioannes the Baptist arrives, proclaiming in the desert of Judea, saying, Repent, for the kingdom of the heavens has neared. For this is that spoken through Isaiah the prophet, saying, A voice crying in the wilderness, Prepare the way of the prince, make straight his paths. And Ioannes himself had his garment from hairs of camel, and a leather belt around his loins, and his food was locusts and wild honey. Then Jerusalem and all Judea and all the region around the Jordan went out to him, and they were immersed in the river Jordan by him, acknowledging their errors. But seeing many of the Pharisees and the Sadducees coming to the immersion, he said to them, Race of vipers, who warned you to flee from the coming wrath? Indeed, you should make fruit worthy of repentance, and do not think to say among yourselves, We have Abraham for a father. For I say to you, that Yahweh is able to raise up children for Abraham from these stones. But already the axe is laid to the root of the trees. Surely any tree not producing good fruit is cut down and cast into the fire. Indeed, I immerse you in water for repentance, but he coming after me is more powerful than me, of whom I am not worthy to carry the sandals. He shall immerse you in the Holy Spirit, and in fire, of whom the winnowing fan is in his hand, and he shall purge his threshing floor, and he shall gather his grain into his storehouse, but the chaff he shall burn with unquenchable fire. Then Yeshua arrives from Galilee by the Jordan to Ioannes, for which to be immersed by him. But Ioannes prevented him, saying, I have need to be immersed by you, and you should come to me? Then responding, Yeshua said to him, Allow it for now, for thusly it is fitting for us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he allowed him. And being immersed, Yeshua went up immediately from the water. And behold, the heavens opened, and he saw the Spirit of Yahweh descending as a dove and coming upon him. And behold, a voice from out of the heavens saying, He is my beloved Son, in whom I am satisfied. Matthew chapter 4. Then Yeshua had been led up into the desert by the Spirit to be tried by the false accuser. And fasting 40 days and 40 nights, afterwards he hungered. And coming forth the tempter said to him, If you are a son of Yahweh, speak in order that these stones would become wheat loaves. And responding, he said, It is written, Not by bread alone shall man live, but by every word going out through the mouth of Yahweh. Then the false accuser takes him into the holy city, and stood him upon the wing of the temple, and says to him, If you are a son of Yahweh, throw yourself down, for it is written that he commanded his messengers concerning you, and by their hands they shall bear you, lest at any time you may strike your foot against a stone. Yeshua said to him, Again it is written, You shall not tempt Yahweh your God. Again the false accuser takes him to an exceedingly high mountain, and shows to him all the kingdoms of the society and their splendor. And he said to him, I shall give to you all these, if falling you would worship me. Then Yeshua says to him, Go away, adversary, for it is written, Yahweh, your God, shall you worship, and you shall serve him only. Then the false accuser leaves him, and behold, messengers came forth and served him. And having heard that Johannes had been handed over, he withdrew into Galilee, and leaving Nazareth, having come, he settled in Capharnaum by the sea, in the regions of Zabulon and Nephthalim, in order that that which had been spoken through Isaiah the prophet would be fulfilled, saying, Land of Zabulon, and land of Nephthalim, the way of the sea, opposite the Jordan, circuit of the nations, the people sitting in darkness have seen a great light. And for those sitting in the region and shadow of death, a light has risen up for them. From that time Yeshua began to proclaim and to say, Repent, for the kingdom of the heavens has neared. And walking by the sea of Galilee, he saw two men, Simon, who is called Petros, and Andreas his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he says to them, Come after me, and I shall make you fishers of men. And immediately having left the nets, they followed him. And proceeding from there he saw two other brothers, Iacobos, the son of Zebedios, and Iohannes his brother, in the vessel with Zebedios their father mending their nets. And he called them. And immediately leaving the vessel and their father, they followed him. And he went around in all Galilee, teaching in their assembly halls, and proclaiming the good message of the kingdom, and healing every disease and every weakness among the people. And the report of him had gone out into all of Syria, and they brought to him all those being ill with various diseases, and those afflicted with trials, and those possessed by demons, and epileptics, and paralytics. And he healed them. 25. And many crowds followed him from Galilee, and Decapolis, and Jerusalem, and Judea, and beyond the Jordan. Matthew chapter 5. And seeing the crowds, he went up into the mountain, and upon his sitting, his students came to him. And opening his mouth, he instructed them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who are mourning, because they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, because they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who are hungering and thirsting for righteousness, because they shall be satiated. Blessed are those having mercy, because they shall be mercied. Blessed are those who are pure in heart, because they shall see Yahweh. Blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called sons of Yahweh. Blessed are those who are persecuted on account of righteousness, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they would reproach and persecute you, and being liars they would speak any evil against you on account of me. Rejoice and exult, because great is your reward in the heavens. For thusly had they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its savor, with what shall it be salted? It avails for nothing more than it is cast outside, to be trampled by men. You are the light of the society. A city sitting upon a mountain is not able to be hidden. 15. Neither do they ignite a lamp and set it under a basket, but upon a lampstand, and it gives light for all those in the house. Thusly you must give your light before men, that they may see your good works, and they may honor your Father, who is in the heavens. You should not believe that I have come to dismiss the law or the prophets. I have not come to dismiss, but to fulfill. For truly, I say to you, until heaven and earth would pass, by no means should one iota or one stroke pass from the law until all things should happen. Indeed, he who may break the least one of these commandments and teach men as much, he shall be called least in the kingdom of the heavens. But he who should do and should teach, he shall be called great in the kingdom of the heavens. For I say to you that unless your righteousness abounds beyond that of the scribes and Pharisees, by no means shall you enter into the kingdom of the heavens. You have heard that it had been said to the ancients, You shall not murder, and he who would murder shall be subject to judgment. But I say to you that each being angry with his brother shall be subject to judgment. He who would say to his brother, Worthless, shall be subject to the council. But he who would say, Stupid, shall be subject to Gehenna for the fire. Therefore, if you would offer your gift upon the altar, and there you should remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First you must be reconciled to your brother, and then, coming, offer your gift. You must quickly be on good terms with your opponent, even while you are with him in the road, lest the opponent hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the deputy, and you would be cast into prison. Truly I say to you, you shall not come out from there until when you would repay the last cent. You have heard that it has been said, You shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that each who beholds a woman for which to lust after her has already committed adultery in his heart. Now, if your right eye entraps you, take it out and cast it from you. For it is better for you that one of your members would be lost, and your whole body not be cast into Gehenna. And if your right hand entraps you, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is better for you that one of your members would be lost, and your whole body not depart into Gehenna. And it has been said, He who would put away his wife must give to her a bill of divorce. Now I say to you, that each who puts away his wife, except for reason of fornication, makes her to commit adultery. And he who would marry a divorced woman commits adultery. Again, you have heard that it has been said to the ancients, You shall not swear falsely, and you shall make atonement for your oaths to Yahweh. Now I say to you not to swear at all, not by the heaven, because it is the throne of Yahweh, nor by the earth, because it is a footstool for his feet, nor upon Jerusalem, because it is the city of the great king, nor should you swear by your head, because you are not able to make one hair white or black. Now your word must be yea, yea, no, no, and what is in excess of these is of evil. You have heard that it has been said, An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. Now I say to you, not to oppose evil, But whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn for him also the other. And to him desiring for you to be judged, and to receive your cloak, give up to him also the shirt. And whoever shall press you for 1 mile, go with him 2. Give to him asking you, and you should not turn away from him, wishing to borrow from you. You have heard that it has been said, You shall love him near you, and you shall hate your enemy. Now I say to you, love your enemies, and pray for those persecuting you, that you may be sons of your Father, who is in the heavens, because his sun rises upon evil and good, and rains upon righteous and unrighteous. For if you should love those loving you, what reward do you have? Do not also the tax collectors do the same? And if you should greet your brethren only, what do you do that is extraordinary? Do not also the heathens do the same? Therefore you shall be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect. Chapter 6. Now offer your righteousness not to do before men, for them to behold. Yet otherwise you have no reward from your Father who is in the heavens. Therefore, when you should do an act of charity, you should not trumpet it before you, even as the hypocrites do in the assembly halls and in the streets, that they may be honored by men. Truly I say to you, they receive their reward. But upon your doing an act of charity, your left hand must not know what your right hand does, that your act of charity would be in secret, and your Father who sees would repay you in secret. And when you pray, do not be as the hypocrites, because they love to pray in the assembly halls and standing at the corners of the streets, that they should be seen by men. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. But when you would pray, go into your closet, and closing your door, you shall pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees shall yield to you in secret. And those praying should not babble on repeatedly just as the heathens, for they suppose that by their many words they shall be heard. Therefore do not become like them, for your Father knows that which you have need of before you ask him. Therefore, thusly are you to pray. Our Father, who is in the heavens, your name must be sanctified. Your kingdom must come. Your will must be done, as in heaven also upon the earth. Give to us our bread sufficient for today, and remit for us our debts, as we also have remitted for our debtors. And do not bring us into trial, but deliver us from the evil one. For if you would remit for men their transgressions, your heavenly Father shall also remit for you. But if you should not remit for men their transgressions, neither shall your Father remit your transgressions. And when you should fast, do not be like the sullen-faced hypocrites, for they obscure their faces that they may appear to be fasting to men. Truly I say to you, they have their reward. But you fasting, anoint your head and wash your face, that you should not appear to be fasting to men, but to your Father, to whom it is in secret. And your Father who seeing shall repay you in secret. Do not store up for you treasure upon the earth, where moth and corrosion obliterate, and where thieves dig through and steal. But store up for you treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor corrosion obliterate, and where thieves do not dig through nor steal. 21. For where your treasure is, there also shall be your heart. The lamp of the body is the eye. Therefore, if your eye should be sincere, your whole body shall be bright. But if your eye should be evil, your whole body shall be dark. Then, if the light in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one is able to serve two masters, for either he would hate the one and would love the other, or he would endure the one and despise the other. You are not able to serve Yahweh and riches. For this reason I say to you, do not care for your life, what you should eat or what you should drink, nor for your body what you should wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of heaven, that they do not sow, nor harvest, nor gather into storehouses, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than them? Who caring from among you is able to add 1 cubit to his stature? And what do you care about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They do not toil nor spin yarn. But I say to you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was clothed as one of these. Now, if the grass of the field exists today, and tomorrow it is cast into a furnace, Yahweh clothes thusly, how much more you of little faith? Therefore you should not have care, saying, what should we eat? Or what should we drink? Or what should we wear? For all these things the heathens seek after. Indeed, your heavenly Father knows that you have need of all of these things, but you seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Therefore, you should not have care for tomorrow shall care for itself. Sufficient for the day are its vices. Chapter 7. Do not condemn in order that you would not be condemned. For with the judgment by which you condemn, you shall be judged, and with the measure by which you measure, it shall be measured with you. Now how do you see the stick which is in the eye of your brother, but the beam which is in your own eye you do not perceive? Or how do you say to your brother, let me extract the stick from your eye, and behold, the beam is in your eye? Hypocrite, extract first the beam from your eye, and then you will see clearly to extract the stick from the eye of your brother. You should not give that which is holy to the dogs, nor should you cast your pearls before swine, lest they shall trample them with their feet, and turning they would rend you to pieces. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened for you. For each who asks receives, and who seeks finds, and for him knocking it shall be opened. Or what man is there among you whose son shall ask of him bread, shall give to him a stone? Or would ask also for a fish, would give to him a serpent? Therefore, if you being base know to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall your Father who is in the heavens give good things to those who ask him? Therefore all things whatever you may desire that men should do for you, thusly also you do for them. For this is the law and the prophets. Enter in through the narrow gate, because wide is the gate, and broad is the road which leads to destruction, and they are many who are entering in through it. But because narrow is the gate, and distressed the road which leads to life, then they are few who are finding it. Keep away from the false prophets, who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are rapacious wolves. You shall know them from their fruits. Does anyone gather grapes from thorns, or figs from thistles? Thusly every good tree produces fine fruit, but the rotten tree produces evil fruit. A good tree is not able to produce evil fruit, nor is a rotten tree to produce fine fruit. Each tree not producing fine fruit is cut down and cast into the fire. Indeed, from their fruits you shall know them. Not all who say to me, Prince, Prince, shall enter into the kingdom of the heavens, but he doing the will of my Father who is in the heavens. Many shall say to me in that day, Prince, Prince, have we not prophesied in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and have done many works of power in your name? And then shall I profess to them that, never have I known you. Depart from me, those who are working at lawlessness. Therefore each who hears these my words and does them, he shall be compared to a sensible man, who has built his house upon bedrock. And the rain descends, and the river comes, and the winds blow, and they fall against that house. Yet it does not fall, for it was founded upon the bedrock. And each who hears these my words, and not doing them, he shall be compared to a foolish man, who has built his house upon the sand. And the rain descends, and the river comes, and the winds blow, and they fall against that house, and it falls. And great was its fall. And when it came that Yeshua had completed these words, the crowds were astonished at his teaching, for he was teaching them as if having authority, and not as their scribes. Chapter 8. And upon his descending from the mountain, many crowds followed him. And behold, a leper coming forth worshipped him, saying, Prince, if you wish, you are able to cleanse me. And extending his hand, he touched him, saying, I wish, be cleansed. And immediately his leprosy had been cleansed. And Yeshua says to him, See that you speak to no one, but go show yourself in the temple, and offer the gift which Moses prescribed, for a testimony to them. And upon his coming into Capharnaum, a centurion came forth to him, summoning him, and saying, Prince, my servant is a paralytic, stricken in the house, being tormented terribly. And he says to him, I coming shall heal him. But responding, the centurion said, Prince, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but only say a word, and my servant shall be healed. For I also am a man appointed by authority, having under myself soldiers. And I say to this one, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes, and to my servant, Do this, and he does it. And hearing Yeshua marveled, and said to those following, Truly I say to you, from no one in Israel have I found such faith. I say to you that many shall come from east and west, and they shall recline with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of the heavens. But the sons of the kingdom shall be cast out into the outermost darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Yeshua said to the centurion, Go, as you have believed, it must be for you. And the servant was healed at that hour. Then Yeshua, coming into the house of Petros, saw his mother-in-law stricken and sick with fever. And he grasped her hand, and the fever left her, and she arose and served him. Then, upon its getting late, they brought to him many who were possessed by demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word, and healed all those having maladies, that the word would be fulfilled, which through the prophet Isaiah says, He has taken our weaknesses, and bears our diseases. Then Yeshua, seeing a crowd around him, had commanded to depart for the other side. And one scribe coming forth said to him, Teacher, I shall follow you wherever you should depart. And Yeshua says to him, The foxes have dens, and the birds of heaven nests, but the Son of Man has not where he may lay the head. Then another of the students said to him, Prince, allow me first to depart and to bury my father. But Yeshua says to him, Follow me, and allow the dead to bury the dead for themselves. And with his boarding into a vessel, his students followed him. And behold, a great commotion happened on the sea, so for the vessel to be covered by the waves. But he slept. And coming forth, they roused him, saying, Prince, save us, we are being destroyed. And he says to them, What, are you cowards, you of little faith? Then arising, he censured the winds and the sea, and there came a great calm. Then the men marveled, saying, From whence is this man, that even the winds and the sea obey him? And upon his coming to the other side, to the country of the Gadarenes, 2 men possessed by demons coming out from among the tombs met with him, exceedingly troublesome, so that not anyone is able to pass by through that road. And behold, They cried out, saying, "What is with us and with you, O Son of Yahweh? Have you come already to torment us prematurely?" Now there was afar off from them a herd of many swine feeding. And the demons exhorted him, saying, "If you cast us out, send us into the herd of swine." And he said to them, "Go." And they, coming out, departed into the swine. And behold, the whole herd rushed headlong down the bank into the sea, and died in the water. And those feeding them fled, and coming into the city reported everything, even the things concerning those possessed by demons. And behold, the whole city came out for a meeting with Yeshua, and seeing him, they exhorted that he would pass over from their districts. Chapter 9. And having boarded into a vessel, he crossed over, and had come to his own city. And behold, they brought to him a paralytic placed upon a cot. And Yeshua, seeing their faith, said to the paralytic, "Have courage, son, your errors are forgiven." And behold, some of the scribes said among themselves, "This man blasphemes." And Yeshua, seeing their considerations, said, "For what reason do you ponder evil in your hearts? For what is easier to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Arise and walk'? But in order that you would know that the Son of Man has authority upon the earth to forgive errors, then he says to the paralytic, 'Arising, take your cot, and go to your house.' And arising, he departed for his house. Then, seeing it, the crowds feared and honored Yahweh for giving such authority to men. And Yeshua, passing from there, sees a man sitting at the tax office called Mattheos, and says to him, 'Follow me.' And arising, he followed him. And it happened upon his reclining in the house, then behold, many tax collectors and wrongdoers, having come, reclined with Yeshua and his students. And the Pharisees, seeing, said to his students, 'For what reason does your teacher eat with tax collectors and wrongdoers?' But he, hearing, said, 'Those who are strong have no need of a physician, but those who have maladies. Now going you learn why it is mercy I desire, and not sacrifice. For I have not come to call the righteous, but the wrongdoers.' Then the students of Ioannes came forth to him, saying, 'For what reason do we and the Pharisees fast, but your students do not fast?' And Yeshua said to them, 'The sons of the bride chamber are not able to hunger for as long as the bridegroom is with them. But the days shall come when the bridegroom has been taken from them, and then they shall fast. Now no one puts a patch of uncarded cloth upon an old garment, for it lifts its borders away from the garment, and it becomes torn worse. Nor do they put new wine into old skins, but if it is, the skins break, and the wine pours out, and the skins are destroyed. Rather, they put new wine into new skins, and both are kept together.' Upon his speaking these things to them, behold, one leader having come worshipped him, saying that, 'My daughter has just now died, but coming put your hands upon her, and she shall live.' And arising, Yeshua followed him and his students. And behold, a woman having a flow of blood for 12 years approaching from behind, grabbed the hem of his garment. For she had said within herself, 'If only I may grab his garment, I shall be saved.' Then Yeshua, turning and seeing her, said, 'Have courage, daughter, your faith has saved you.' And the woman had been saved from that hour. And upon Yeshua's having come to the house of the leader, and seeing the flute players and the disturbed multitude, he said, 'Withdraw, for the child has not died, but sleeps.' And they derided him. But when he had cast out the crowd, entering in, he held her hand, and raised the child. And the report of her went out into that whole land. And with Yeshua passing from there, 2 blind men followed him, crying out and saying, 'Have mercy on us, Son of David.' And upon having come into the house, the blind men approached him, and Yeshua says to them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" They say to him, "Yes, Prince." Then he touched their eyes, saying, "It must be for you according to your faith." And their eyes opened, and Yeshua admonished them, saying, "You must see that no one knows." But they, having departed, made it known in all that land. Then upon their departing, behold, they brought to him a mute man possessed by a demon. And upon the demons having been cast out, the mute spoke. And the crowds marveled, saying, "Never yet has such been seen in Israel." But the Pharisees said, "By the prince of demons he casts out demons." And Yeshua went around all the cities and villages, teaching in their assembly halls, and proclaiming the good message of the kingdom, and healing every disease and every weakness. But seeing the crowds, he had been deeply moved on account of them, because they were troubled and downcast, just as sheep not having a shepherd. Then he says to his students, "Great is the harvest, but the workers are few. Therefore it is necessary for the Lord of the harvest that he send out workers into his harvest." Chapter 10. And summoning 12 of his students, he had given to them authority over unclean spirits, so as to cast them out, and to heal every disease and every weakness. Now these are the names of the 12 ambassadors. First Simon, who is called Petros, and Andreas his brother, and Jacobos the son of Zebedios, and Ioannes his brother, Philippos and Bartholomeos, Thomas and Matthias the tax collector, Jacobos the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanian, and Judas Iscarioth, who also betrays him. These 12 Yeshua sent out, commanding to them, saying, "You should not depart into the way of the heathens, and you should not enter into a city of Samaritans, but rather you must go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And going you proclaim, saying that the kingdom of the heavens has neared. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, cast out demons. Freely you have received, freely you must give. Do not procure gold, nor silver, nor copper for your belts, nor a bag for the way, nor 2 cloaks, nor sandals, nor a staff. For the workman is worthy of his provisions. And into whatever city or town you should enter, scrutinize whether anyone in it is worthy, and there abide until when you would depart. But going into the house you shall greet it. And indeed, if the house should be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it should not be worthy, your peace must return to you. And whoever would not receive you nor hear your words, going out of that house or city, shake off the dust from your feet. Truly I say to you, it shall be better for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Behold, I send you off as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be wise as serpents and pure as doves. But take heed on account of men, for they shall hand you over to councils, and they shall whip you in their assembly halls, and you shall be brought before governors and even kings because of me, for a testimony to them and to the nations. And when they should hand you over, you should not have care for how or what you should speak, for it shall be given to you at that hour what you should speak. For it is not you who are speaking, but the Spirit of your Father, which is speaking in you. For brother shall hand over brother unto death, and father child, and children shall rise up against parents, and shall slay them. And you shall be hated by all on account of my name, but he abiding to the end shall be saved. And when they should persecute you in this city, flee to another. For truly I say to you, by no means should you exhaust the cities of Israel until when the Son of Man should come. There is not a student above the teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for a student that he may be as his teacher and a servant as his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebul, how much more those of his house? Therefore you should not fear them. For nothing is hidden which shall not be revealed, and secret which shall not be made known. That which I say to you in the darkness you speak in the light, and that which you hear in the ear proclaim upon the houses. And do not fear from those killing the body, but are not able to kill the soul. But rather fear he who is able also to slay soul and body in Gehenna. Are not 2 sparrows sold for an assarion? And one of these does not fall upon the earth without consent of your Father. But of you even the hairs of the head are all counted. Therefore do not fear, you are worthy more than many sparrows. Therefore each who shall agree with me before men, I shall also agree with him before my Father, who is in the heavens. But he who should deny me before men, I shall also deny him before my Father, who is in the heavens. You should not suppose that I have come to put peace upon the earth. I have not come to put peace, but a sword. For I have come to divide a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a bride against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies are those of his house. He loving father or mother above me is not worthy of me, and he loving son or daughter above me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take his cross and follow behind me is not worthy of me. He seeking his life shall lose it, and he losing his life because of me shall find it. He receiving you receives me, and he receiving me receives he who has sent me. He receiving a prophet in the name of a prophet gains reward of the prophet, and he receiving a righteous man in the name of a righteous man gains reward of the righteous man. And he who would give one of these little ones a single cup of cold water to drink in the name of a student, truly I say to you, by no means should he lose his reward. Chapter 11. And it came to pass that when Yeshua had finished appointing his 12 students, he passed over from there for which to teach, and to proclaim in their cities. Then Johannes, hearing in the prison the works of Christ, sending through his students, said to him, Are you he who is coming, or do we expect another? And responding Yeshua said to them, Going report to Johannes the things which you hear and see. The blind see again, and the lame walk. Lepers are cleansed, and the deaf mutes hear. And the dead are raised, and the poor have the good message announced. And blessed is he who would not be offended by me. And upon their going, Yeshua began to speak to the crowds concerning Johannes. What have you come out into the desert to see? A reed being shaken by the wind? Rather, what have you come out to see? A man clothed in soft things? Behold, those wearing soft things are in the houses of the kings. Rather, what have you come out to see? A prophet? Yeah, I say to you, and more extraordinary than a prophet. This is he concerning whom it is written, Behold, I shall send my messenger before your face, who shall prepare your way before you. Truly I say to you, there has not arisen among those born of women a greater than Johannes the Baptist, but he who is least in the kingdom of the heavens is greater than he. And from the days of Johannes the Baptist until now the kingdom of the heavens suffers violence, and the violent ones plunder it. For all the prophets and the law have prophesied until Johannes. And if you wish to receive it, he is Elijah who is going to come. He having an ear to hear must hear. But to what shall I compare this race? It is like children sitting in the markets, calling out to others things which say, We piped for you, and you did not dance. We sang dirges, and you did not mourn. For Johannes had come neither eating nor drinking, and they say, "He has a demon." The Son of Man has come eating and drinking, and they say, "Behold, the man is a glutton and a wine drinker, a friend of tax collectors and wrongdoers, and wisdom is justified by her works." Then he began to upbraid the cities in which the greatest number of his works of power were done, because they did not repent. Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida! Because if there happened in Turos and Sidon the feats which took place among you, long ago they would have repented in sackcloth and ashes. But I say to you, in Turos and Sidon it shall be better in the day of judgment than for you. And you, Capharnaum, shall you be exalted unto heaven? Unto Hades shall you descend. Because if in Sodom there had taken place the feats which took place in you, it would have abided until today. But I say to you that for the land of Sodom it shall be better in the day of judgment than for you. At that time Yeshua responding said, I gratefully acknowledge to you, Father, sovereign of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and understanding, and have revealed them to babes. Yea, Father, because thusly was it pleasing before you. All things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son if not the Father, nor does anyone know the Father if not the Son, and to whom the Son may wish to reveal him. Come to me, all those who are toiling and being burdened, and I shall give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, because I am meek and humble in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. For my yoke is kind, and my burden is light. Chapter 12. At that time Yeshua had gone through the planted fields on the Sabbaths, and his students hungered and began to pluck and to eat the grain. Then the Pharisees, seeing it, said to him, Look, your students do that, which is not lawful to do on a Sabbath. And he said to them, Have you not read what David did when he and those with him had hungered, how he entered into the house of Yahweh, and they ate the bread of presentation, which was not lawful for him nor for those with him to eat, except only for the priests? Or have you not read in the law that on the Sabbaths the priests in the temple profaned the Sabbath, yet they are guiltless? Now I say to you that a greater than the temple is here. But if you had known why it is mercy I desire and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is Prince of the Sabbath. And passing over from there, he came into their assembly hall, and behold, a man having a withered hand. And they questioned him, saying, So, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbaths? That they may accuse him. But he said to them, What man shall there be from among you who shall have one sheep? And if this should fall into a pit on the Sabbath, he would not take hold of and raise it. So how much better is a man than a sheep? Therefore, it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath. Then he says to the man, Extend your hand. And he extended it, and it had been restored to health as the other. Then departing the Pharisees took counsel against him, how they could kill him. But knowing it, Yeshua withdrew from there, and many followed him, and he healed them all. And he admonished them that they should not make him manifest, in order that that which was spoken through the prophet Isaiah would be fulfilled, saying, Behold, my Son whom I have chosen, my beloved who has pleased my soul. I shall set my Spirit upon him, and he shall announce judgment to the nations. He shall neither quarrel nor cry out, nor shall one hear his voice in the streets. A crushed reed he shall not break, and a smoldering cord he shall not quench, until he should issue judgment in victory, and in his name shall the nations have hope. Then a blind and mute man possessed by a demon had been brought to him, and he healed him, even for the mute to speak and to see. And all the crowds were astonished, and said, Could this man be the son of David? And hearing, the Pharisees said, This man does not cast out demons except by Beelzebul, the ruler of demons. But knowing their reasonings, he said to them, Any kingdom divided against itself is desolate, and any city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan casts out Satan against himself, he is divided. Therefore, how shall his kingdom stand? And if I by Beelzebul cast out demons, by whom do your sons cast them out? For this reason they shall be your judges. But if by the Spirit of Yahweh I cast out demons, then the kingdom of Yahweh has overtaken you. Now, how is one able to enter into the house of the strong man and plunder his equipment, if he could not first bind the strong man? And then he shall plunder his house. He who is not with me is against me, and he not gathering with me scatters. For this reason I say to you, every error and blasphemy shall be remitted for men, but blasphemy of the Spirit shall not be remitted. And whoever should speak a word against the Son of Man, it shall be remitted for him. But whoever should speak against the Holy Spirit, it shall not be remitted for him, neither in this age, nor in that which is coming. Either make the tree good, and its fruit is good, or make the tree rotten, and its fruit is rotten. From of the fruit the tree is known. Offspring of vipers, how are you able to speak good things, being evil? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. The good man from out of the good treasure issues good things, and the wicked man from out of wicked treasure issues wicked things. Now I say to you that every idle word which men shall speak, they shall give an account for it on the day of judgment. For by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be condemned. Then some of the scribes and the Pharisees replied to him, saying, Teacher, we wish to see a sign from you. But replying, he said to them, A wicked and adulterous race seeks a sign, and a sign shall not be given to it except the sign of Iona the prophet. For as Iona was in the belly of the whale for 3 days and 3 nights, thusly shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. The men of Nineveh shall rise up in the judgment with this race, and they shall condemn it, because they repented at the proclamation of Iona. And behold, a greater than Iona is here. The queen of the south shall be raised in the judgment with this race, and shall condemn it, because she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, a greater than Solomon is here. Now when the unclean spirit departs from a man, it passes through waterless places seeking rest, and finds it not. Then it says, I shall return to my house from where I departed. And coming finds it vacant, swept clean and ornamented. Then it goes and takes to itself 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and entering in dwells there. And the ends of that man become worse than the beginnings. Thusly shall it be also with this wicked race. While he yet spoke to the crowds, behold, his mother and brethren stood outside, seeking to speak with him. And someone said to him, Behold, your mother and your brethren stand outside, seeking to speak with you. But replying, he said to him, speaking, Who is my mother, and who are my brethren? And extending his hand over his students, he said, Behold my mother and my brethren. For he who would do the will of my Father, who is in the heavens, he is my brother and sister and mother. Chapter 13. In that day Yeshua, departing from the house, sat by the sea. And many crowds gathered to him, so as for him boarding into a vessel to sit. And all the crowd stood upon the shore. And he spoke to them many things in parables, saying, Behold, the sower has come out for which to sow. And upon his sowing then some fell by the road, and having come, the birds devoured them. But others fell upon the rocks, where they had not much earth, and immediately had sprung up on account of not having deep earth. And upon the rising of the sun they were scorched, and on account of not having root they withered. And others fell upon the thorns, and the thorns rose up and strangled them. But others fell upon the good earth, and provided fruit, while some 100-fold, then some 60, and some 30. He having an ear must hear. And coming forth, the students said to him, For what reason do you speak in parables to them? And replying, he said to them, Because to you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of the heavens, but to those it is not given. For he who has, it shall be given to him, and he shall have abundance. But he who does not have, even that which he has shall be taken from him. For this reason I speak to them in parables, because seeing they shall not see, and hearing they shall not hear, nor shall they understand. And the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled in them, which says, By hearing you shall hear, and by no means should you understand. And looking you shall look, and by no means should you see. For the hearts of this people are grown fat, and with the ears they hear with difficulty, and their eyes have closed, that at no time should they see with the eyes, and hear with the ears, and understand in their hearts, that they should repent, and I shall heal them. But blessed are your eyes that they shall see, and your ears that they shall hear. For truly I say to you, that many prophets and righteous men had desired to see the things which you see, and they did not see, and to hear the things which you hear, and they did not hear. Therefore you must hear the parable of the sower. Each hearing and not understanding the word of the kingdom, the evil one comes and snatches away that which has been sown in his heart. This is that having been sown by the road. And that having been sown upon the rocks, this is he hearing the word, and immediately receiving it with joy. Yet it does not have root in him, but is temporary. And upon tribulation or persecution coming on account of the word, he is immediately entrapped. Then that having been sown in the thorns, this is he hearing the word, and the cares of this age and the deceit of riches strangle the word, and it becomes fruitless. But that having been sown upon the good earth, this is he hearing the word and understanding, who surely bears fruit, and makes then some 100-fold, but some 60, and some 30. He laid forth another parable for them, saying, The kingdom of the heavens is likened to a man having sown good seed in his field. And while the man is sleeping, his enemy came and had sown tares among the wheat, and departed. And when the grass sprouted and produced fruit, then the tares also had appeared. Then coming forth, the servants of the master of the house said to him, Master, have you not sowed good seed in your field? Then from where does it have tares? But he said to them, A man who is an enemy has done this. Then the servants say to him, Then do you wish that going out we should gather them? But he says, No, lest gathering the tares you may root up the wheat together with them. Allow both to grow together until the harvest. And at the time of the harvest I shall say to the reapers, Gather the tares first, and bind them in cords for which to burn them. Then gather the wheat into my storehouse. He laid forth another parable, saying to them, The kingdom of the heavens is like a grain of mustard, which a man taking has sowed in his field, which is indeed the smallest of all the seeds. But when it grows is greater than the herbs, and becomes a tree, so that the birds of heaven come and nest in its branches. Another parable he spoke to them, The kingdom of the heavens is like leaven, which a woman taking has hidden in 3 measures of flour until when it has all been leavened. All these things Yeshua had spoken in parables to the crowds, and without a parable he spoke nothing to them, that which was spoken through the prophet would be fulfilled, saying, I shall open my mouth in parables. I shall bellow things kept secret from the foundation of society. Then, leaving the crowds, he had gone into the house, and his students came forth to him, saying, Elucidate for us the parable of the tares in the field. And responding, he said, He sowing the good seed is the Son of Man. Now the field is the world, and the good seed, these are the sons of the kingdom. But the tares are the sons of the evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the false accuser. And the harvest is the consummation of the age, and the reapers are messengers. Therefore, just as the tares are gathered, and burn in fire, thusly it shall be at the consummation of the age. The Son of Man shall send his messengers, and they shall gather from his kingdom all offenses, and those creating lawlessness, and they shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous shall shine forth like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He having an ear must hear. The kingdom of the heavens is like a treasure hidden in a field, which finding a man hides, and from his joy goes and sells all things whatever he has, and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of the heavens is like a merchant man seeking a beautiful pearl, and finding one very valuable pearl, having departed, sold all things whatever he had, and bought it. Again, the kingdom of the heavens is like a net having been cast into the sea, and it gathers from out of every race, which when it is full, bringing up upon the shore, and sitting, they gather the good ones into vessels, but the rotten ones they cast out. Thusly it shall be at the consummation of the age. The messengers shall go out, and they shall separate the wicked from the midst of the righteous, and they shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all these things? They say to him, Yes. And he said to them, For this reason, every scribe being instructed in the kingdom of the heavens is like a man, a master of the house, who issues from his treasury new things and old things. And it came to pass, when Yeshua had finished these parables, he removed from there. And having come into his fatherland, he taught them in their assembly hall, so for them to be astonished even to say, From where in this man is this wisdom and abilities? Is this not the son of a craftsman? Is not his mother called Mariam, and his brothers Iacobos, and Ioseph, and Simon, and Iuda? And are not his sisters all here with us? So from where in this man are all these things? And they were offended by him. But Yeshua said to them, A prophet is not dishonored, except in his own fatherland and household. And he did not do many works of power there on account of their disbelief. Chapter 14. At that time Herodes the Tetrarch had heard the report of Yeshua, and he said to his servants, This is Ioannes the Baptist. He has risen from the dead, and for this reason works of power operate in him. For Herodes, having seized Ioannes, had bound and put him away in prison on account of Herodias, the wife of Philippus, his brother. For Ioannes had said to him, It is not lawful for you to have her. And desiring to kill him, he had feared the crowd, because they held him as a prophet. But with the birthday feast of Herodes coming to pass, the daughter of Herodias danced in the midst, and pleased Herodes, from which he had promised with an oath to give to her whatever she may ask. And being induced by her mother, Give to me, she says, here upon a plate, the head of Ioannes the Baptist. And the king, grieving because of the oaths and those reclining together, commanded it to be provided, and sending he beheaded Ioannis in the prison. And his head was brought upon a plate, and given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. And having gone forth, his students took the body and buried him, and having come reported it to Yeshua. And hearing it, Yeshua withdrew from there in a vessel to a desert place by himself. And crowds hearing it followed him on foot from the cities. And coming out, he saw a great crowd, and was deeply moved by them, and he healed their sick. Now it becoming late, the students came forth to him, saying, "The place is a desert, and the time has already passed. Release the crowds, in order that departing into the villages they may buy food for themselves." But Yeshua said to them, "They have no need to depart. You give to them to eat." Then they say to him, "We have not here except 5 loaves and 2 fish. But he said, "Bring them here to me." And commanding the crowds to recline upon the grass, taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish, looking up into the heaven he blessed, and having broken them, gave the loaves to the students, and the students to the crowds. And they all ate, and were filled, and they took the excess of fragments, filling 12 baskets. Now those men eating were about 5,000, besides women and children. And immediately he compelled the students to board into the vessel, and to go ahead of him to the other side, until when he would release the crowds. And releasing the crowds, he went up into the mountain by himself to pray. And it becoming late, he was there alone. And the vessel was already many stades away from the land, being tried by the waves, for there was an opposing wind. And in the 4th watch of the night he came to them, walking upon the sea. And the students, seeing him walking upon the sea, were troubled, saying that it is an apparition, and they cried out from fear. But immediately Yeshua spoke to them, saying, "Have courage, it is I, do not fear." Then, responding to him, Petros said, "Prince, if it is you, bid for me to come to you upon the waters." And he said, "Come." And descending from the vessel, Petros walked upon the waters, and came to Yeshua. But seeing the wind he feared, and beginning to sink, cried out, saying, "Prince, save me." Then immediately Yeshua, extending the hand, took hold of him, and says to him, "You of little faith, for what reason do you doubt?" And upon their ascending into the vessel, the wind abated. Then those in the vessel worshipped him, saying, "You are truly a son of Yahweh." And crossing over, they came upon the land at Gennesaret. And recognizing him, the men of that place sent into that whole surrounding region. And they brought to him all those being ill, and exhorted him that they may only touch the border of his garment. And as many who touched recovered. Chapter 15. Then the Pharisees and scribes came forth from Jerusalem to Yeshua, saying, "For what reason do your students transgress the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash the hands when they eat bread." And replying, he said to them, "For what reason, then, do you transgress the commandment of Yahweh by your tradition? For Yahweh said, 'Honor the father and the mother,' and he speaking evil of father or mother must die by sentence of death. But you say, 'Whoever should say to father or mother, whatever you may benefit from me is a gift,' shall by no means honor his father. And you have made void the word of Yahweh by your tradition. Hypocrites! Well did Isaiah prophesy concerning you, saying, 'This people honors me with the lips, but their hearts are far from me. And vainly do they worship me, teaching for education the commandments of men.'" And calling to the crowd, he said to them, "You hear and understand. That which goes into the mouth does not defile the man, but that coming out from the mouth, this defiles the man." Then the students, having come forth, say to him, "Do you know that the Pharisees are offended hearing the word?" Then he replying said, "Every plant which my heavenly Father has not planted shall be uprooted. Leave them alone, they are blind leaders. And if the blind should lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch." Then responding, Petros said to him, "Elucidate the parable for us." And he said, "Still also are you without understanding? Do you not perceive that everything going into the mouth is contained in the belly and cast out in the latrine? But the things coming out from the mouth come out from the heart, and these things defile the man. For from out of the heart come evil arguments, murders, acts of adultery, acts of fornication, thefts, false testimonies, blasphemies. These are the things which defile the man, but to eat with unwashed hands would not defile the man." And having departed from there, Yeshua withdrew into the regions of Turos and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman from those borders having come out, cried out, saying, "Pity me, Master, Son of David. My sick daughter is possessed by a demon." But he did not respond to her a word. And coming forth, his students begged him, saying, "Dismiss her, for she cries out from behind us." Then replying, he said, "I have not been sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she coming makes obeisance to him, saying, "Master, help me." But he responding said, "It is not good to take the bread of the children, and to cast it to the little dogs." Then she said, "Yes, Master, yet the little dogs eat from the crumbs falling from the table of their masters." Then replying, Yeshua said to her, "O woman, great is your belief. It must be for you as you desire." And her daughter had been healed from that moment. And passing over from there, Yeshua went by the Sea of Galilee, and ascending into the mountain sat there. And there came to him many crowds, having among themselves the lame, blind, crippled, mute, and many others, and they cast them by his feet, and he healed them, so that the crowd wonders, seeing the mute speaking, the crippled healthy, and the lame walking, and the blind seeing. And they honored the God of Israel. Then Yeshua, summoning his students, said, "I am deeply moved by the crowd, because already 3 days they remain with me, and they do not have anything to eat. And I do not wish to dismiss them fasting, lest they should faint on the road." And the students say to him, "From where for us in the desert are there so many loaves, so as to feed such a crowd?" And Yeshua says to them, "How many loaves do you have?" And they said, 7, and a few small fish. And commanding the crowd to recline upon the ground, he took the 7 wheat loaves and the fish, and blessing, broke, and gave them to the students, and the students to the crowds, and they all ate and were filled. And they took the excess of the fragments, filling 7 creels. And those eating were 4,000 men, besides women and children. And releasing the crowds, he had boarded into a vessel and came to the regions of Magadan. Chapter 16. And coming forth, the Pharisees and the Sadducees trying, had asked him to show to them a sign from out of heaven. And replying to them, he said, "A wicked and adulterous race seeks a sign, and a sign shall not be given to it except the sign of Ionas." And leaving them, he departed. And the students, having come to the other side, forgot to take bread. Then Yeshua said to them, "Watch and be on guard because of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees." And they disputed among themselves, saying that, "We did not take bread." But Yeshua, knowing it, said, "Why do you dispute among yourselves, you of little faith, because you do not have bread? Do you not yet perceive, nor do you remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets you had taken? Nor the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many creels you had taken? How do you not perceive that it is not concerning wheat loaves that I spoke to you? But be on guard, because of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Then they understood that he did not say to be on guard because of the leaven of the wheat loaves, but because of the teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Then Yeshua, having come into the regions of Caesarea Philippos, questioned his students, saying, Who do men say that the Son of Man is? And they said, Well, some Johannes the Baptist, but others Elijah, and others Jeremias, or one of the prophets. He says to them, But who do you say that I am? And replying, Simon Petros said, You are the anointed Son of Yahweh, who is living. And replying, Yeshua said to him, Blessed you are, Simon, son of Ionas, because flesh and blood have not revealed it to you, but my Father who is in the heavens. And I say to you, that you are a stone, Petros, yet upon this bedrock, Petra, shall I build my assembly, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. I shall give to you the little keys of the kingdom of the heavens, and he whom you should bind upon the earth shall be bound in the heavens, and he whom you should release upon the earth shall be released in the heavens. He ordered the students in order that they would tell no one that he is the Anointed One, Christ. From that time, Yeshua Christ began to explain to his students that it is necessary for him to depart for Jerusalem and to suffer many things from the elders and high priests and scribes, and to be slain, and to be raised on the third day. And taking him aside, Petros began to admonish him, saying, Mercy to you, Prince, this shall not be for you. And turning, he said to Petros, Get behind me, adversary. Are you a trap for me, because you mind not the affairs of Yahweh, but the affairs of men? Then Yeshua said to his students, If one desires to come behind me, he must deny himself, and take up his cross, and follow me. For he who would wish to save his life shall lose it, and he who would lose his life because of me shall find it. For what shall it benefit a man, if perhaps he should gain the whole society, but his life is lost? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his life? For the Son of Man is going to come with the splendor of his Father, with his messengers, and then he shall render to each according to his practice. Truly I say to you that there are some of those standing here who shall by no means taste death until when they should see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Chapter 17. And after 6 days, Yeshua takes Petros and Jacobos and Johannes his brother, and brings them up onto a high mountain by themselves. And he was transformed before them, and his face shined like the sun, and his garments became white like light. And behold, Moses appeared to them, and Elijah, speaking together with him. Then responding, Petros said to Yeshua, Prince, it is good for us to be here. If you desire, I shall make here 3 tents, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah. Yet upon his speaking, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice from the cloud saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am pleased. You hear him. And hearing it, the students had fallen upon their faces, and feared exceedingly. And Yeshua came forth, and taking hold of them, said, Arise, and do not fear. Then raising their eyes, they saw no one except Yeshua himself only. And upon their descending from the mountain, Yeshua commanded them, saying, Tell no one of this sight, until when the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. And the students questioned him, saying, So why do the scribes say that it is necessary for Elijah to come first? And he replying said, Indeed, Elijah comes, and he shall restore all things. But I say to you that Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but did with him whatever they had desired. Thusly also the Son of Man is going to suffer by them." Then the students understood that he spoke to them concerning Ioannes the Baptist. And upon coming to the crowd, a man approached him, falling on his knees and saying, "Prince, have mercy upon my son, because he is an epileptic and has a malady. For many times he falls into the fire, and many times into the water. And I brought him to your students, yet they have not been able to heal him." And replying, Yeshua said, "O faithless and perverted race, until when must I be with you? Until when must I put up with you? Bring him here to me." And Yeshua admonished him, and the demon came out from him, and the child had been healed from that moment. Then the students, having approached Yeshua by themselves, said, "For what reason had we not been able to cast it out?" And he says to them, "For reason of your little faith. For truly I say to you, if you would have faith as a grain of mustard, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from there to there,' and it shall be moved, and there is nothing impossible for you." Then upon their gathering in Galilee, Yeshua said to them, "The Son of Man is going to be handed over into the hands of men, and they shall slay him, and on the third day he shall be raised." And they were grieved exceedingly. Then upon their having come into Capharnaum, those collecting the tax came forth to Petros, and said, "Does your teacher not pay the tax?" He says, "Yes." And coming into the house, Yeshua had anticipated him, saying, "What does it seem to you, Simon? From whom do the kings of the earth receive duties or taxes, from their sons or from aliens?" And upon his saying, "From aliens," Yeshua said to him, "Then indeed the sons are free. But in order that we would not offend them, going to the sea cast a fish hook, and you must take the first fish coming up, and opening its mouth, you shall find a silver coin. Taking that, give it to them, for me and for you." Chapter 18. In that hour the students came forth to Yeshua, saying, "So who is greater in the kingdom of the heavens?" And summoning a child, he stood him in the midst of them and said, "Truly I say to you, if you would not turn back and become as the children, you shall by no means enter the kingdom of the heavens. Therefore he whom would humble himself as this child, he is greater in the kingdom of the heavens. And he whom would receive one such child upon whom is my name, receives me. But he whom would offend one of these little ones who believes in me, it is better for him that a millstone would be hung around his neck, and he be drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to society because of offenses! Indeed, it is a necessity for offenses to come, but woe to that man through whom the offense comes. Now, if your hand or your foot entrap you, chop it off and cast it from you. It is good for you to enter into life crippled or lame, than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into the eternal fire. And if your eye entraps you, take it out and cast it from you. It is good for you with 1 eye to enter into life, than having 2 eyes to be cast into Gehenna for the fire. Watch that you do not despise one of these little ones. For I say to you that their messengers in the heavens at all times look upon the face of my Father who is in the heavens. What do you suppose? If there should be with some man 100 sheep, and one among them should go astray, would he not leave the 99 sheep upon the mountains, and going seek that which is astray? And if he should happen to find it, truly I say to you that he rejoices over it more than for the 99 not having gone astray. Likewise there is no desire before my Father, who is in the heavens, that one of these little ones be lost. Now if your brother should do wrong, you must go censure him between you and him only. If perhaps he should hear you, you have gained your brother. But if he should not hear, take with you 1 or 2 besides, in order that, by the mouth of 2 witnesses, or 3, is every matter established. And if he should ignore them, tell it to the assembly. Then, if also he should ignore the assembly, he must be to you as the heathens and the tax collectors. Truly I say to you, whoever you shall bind upon the earth shall be bound in heaven, and whoever you shall loose upon the earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again, truly I say to you that if two from among you upon the earth should agree concerning any matter of which they should ask, it shall be brought to pass for them by my Father who is in the heavens. For where there are 2 or 3 gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. Then, coming forth, Petros said to him, Prince, how many times shall my brother do wrong to me, that I shall forgive him? As many as 7? Yeshua says to him, I do not say to you as many as 7, but as many as 70 times 7. For this reason the kingdom of the heavens is compared to a man who is king, who had desired to take an account together with his servants. And upon beginning to take it, one had been brought to him, a debtor of 10,000 talents, and not having it to repay, the master ordered him to be sold, and the wife and the children and everything whatever he has, and to be repaid. Then, falling down, the servant made obeisance to him, saying, Have patience with me, and I shall repay everything to you. Then, being deeply moved, the master of that servant released him, and forgave the loan for him. And departing, that servant found one of his fellow servants, who owed 100 denarii to him, and seizing him he strangled him, saying, Repay anything you owe. Then, falling down, his fellow servant exhorted him, saying, Have patience with me, and I shall repay you. But he did not desire. Rather, departing, he cast him into prison, until he would repay that which is owed. Therefore, seeing the things which happened, his fellow servants grieved exceedingly, and going they explained to their own master all the things which happened. Then summoning him, his master says to him, Wicked servant, I forgave you for all that debt, since you exhorted me. Had it not been necessary also for you to have mercy for your fellow servant, as even I had mercy for you? And his master, being angry, handed him over to the torturers, until when he should repay all that which is owed. Thusly also shall my heavenly Father do to you, if you would not each forgive his brother from your hearts. Chapter 19. And it came to pass that when Yeshua had finished these words, he removed from Galilee and came into the borders of Judea across the Jordan. And many crowds had followed him, and he healed them there. And Pharisees approached him, trying him and saying, Now, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for any reason? And replying, he said, Have you not read that the Creator from the beginning has made them male and female? And he said, Because of this shall a man leave father and mother, and attach himself to his wife, and they shall be 2 into one flesh, so that no longer are they 2, but one flesh. Therefore that which Yahweh has yoked together, man must not separate. They say to him, Then why had Moses instructed to give a letter for a bill of divorce, and to put her away? He says to them, Because Moses, for the hardness of your hearts, had permitted you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it had not been thusly. Now I say to you that he who should divorce his wife, not for fornication, and should marry another, commits adultery. His students say to him, If such is the case concerning the man with a wife, it is no advantage to marry. Then he said to them, All do not comprehend this word, but those to whom it has been given. For there are eunuchs who have been born thusly from the womb of a mother, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by men, and there are eunuchs who make themselves eunuchs on account of the kingdom of the heavens. He, being able to comprehend, must comprehend. Then they brought to him children, that he would lay the hands upon them and pray. But the students admonished them. And Yeshua said, Let the children go, and do not forbid them to come to me, for of such as these is the kingdom of the heavens. And laying the hands upon them, he had gone from there. And behold, one having come forth to him said, Teacher, what good shall I do that I would have eternal life? But he said to him, Why would you speak to me concerning good? There is one who is good. But if you desire to enter into life, keep the commandments. He says to him, Which? And Yeshua said, That you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not testify falsely, honor father and mother, and you shall love he who is near to you as yourself. The young man says to him, I have kept all these things. What more do I want? Yeshua said to him, If you wish to be perfect, go sell your belongings, and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the heavens, and come, follow me. And hearing this word, the young man departed grieving, for he was holding much property. Then Yeshua said to his students, Truly, I say to you, that with difficulty a wealthy man shall enter into the kingdom of the heavens. And again, I say to you, it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a wealthy man to enter into the kingdom of Yahweh. And hearing it, the students were exceedingly astonished, saying, Who then is able to be saved? Then looking at them, Yeshua said, With men this is impossible, but with Yahweh all things are possible. Then responding, Petros said to him, Look, we have left everything and have followed you. What then is there for us? And Yeshua said to them, Truly I say to you that you are those who shall be following me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit upon the throne of his honor, and you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And each who leaves house, or brother, or sister, or father, or mother, or children, or farm, because of my name, shall receive 100-fold more, and shall inherit eternal life. But many of the first shall be last, and last first. Chapter 20. For the kingdom of the heavens is like a man, a master of a house, who has gone out while it is early to hire workers for his vineyard. And agreeing with the workers for a denarion a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And having gone out about the 3rd hour, he saw others standing idle in the market. And he said to them, You also go into the vineyard, and whatever would be just, I shall give to you. And they went out. Then again, having gone out about the 6th and the 9th hour, he had done likewise. Then about the 11th, having gone out, he found others standing, and he says to them, Why have you stood here idle all day? They say to him, Because no one has hired us. He says to them, You also go into the vineyard. And upon its becoming late, the master of the vineyard says to his foreman, Call the workers, and pay the salary to them, beginning from the last unto the first. And those having come about the 11th hour, each receive a denarion. And those having come first supposed that they would receive more, and they also each received a denarion. But receiving it, they muttered against the master of the house, saying, These last had done 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us, who have borne the burden and the burning heat of the day. But responding, he said to one of them, Friend, I do not wrong you. Have you not agreed with me for a denarion? Take that which is yours, and go. Now I desire to give to this last man, as also to you. So is it not lawful for me to do that which I desire with mine own? Or is your eye evil, because I am good? Thusly the last shall be first, and the first last. And going up to Jerusalem, Yeshua took the 12 students by themselves in the road and said to them, Behold, we go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man shall be given over to the high priests and scribes, and they shall condemn him to death, and they shall hand him over to the heathens, for which to be mocked and scourged and crucified. And in the third day he shall be resurrected. Then the mother of the sons of Zebedios had come forth to him with her sons, making obeisance and asking something from him. And he said to her, What do you wish? She says to him, Say that these my 2 sons shall sit, one at your right hand and one at your left hand in your kingdom. Then replying, Yeshua said, You know not what you ask. Are you able to drink the cup which I am about to drink? They say to him, We are able. He says to them, Indeed, for you to drink my cup, and to sit at my right hand and left hand is not mine to give, but for whom it has been arranged by my Father. And hearing it, the 10 had been irritated by the 2 brothers. Then, summoning them, Yeshua said, You know that the rulers of the nations lord over them, and the nobles exercise their authority. But it is not thusly among you. Rather, he who would desire to become great among you shall be your servant, and he who would desire to be first among you shall be your slave, just as the Son of Man has not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. And upon their going out from Jericho, a great crowd followed him. And behold, 2 blind men sitting by the road, hearing that Yeshua passes by, cried out, saying, Have mercy on us, Prince, Son of David. But the crowd admonished them that they should be silent. Then they cried louder, saying, Have mercy on us, Prince, Son of David. And stopping, Yeshua called them and said, What do you wish that I shall do for you? They say to him, Prince, that you would open our eyes. And Yeshua, being deeply moved, touched their eyes. And immediately their sight was restored, and they followed him. Chapter 21. And when they had come near to Jerusalem, and they came into Bethphage, to the Mount of Olives, then Yeshua sent out 2 students, saying to them, Go into the village opposite you, and immediately you shall find a leashed ass, and a colt with it. Releasing it, bring it to me. And if anyone should say something to you, say that the prince has need of them. Then at once he shall send them. Now this happened in order that that which was spoken through the prophet would be fulfilled, saying, Speak to the daughter of Sion. Behold, your king comes to you, meek and mounted upon an ass, even upon a colt, son of a beast of burden. And the students going and doing just as Yeshua prescribed to them, they brought the ass and the foal, and placed garments upon them, and he sat atop of them. Then most of the crowd had spread their own garments in the road, but others cut off branches from the trees and spread them in the road. Then the crowds leading him and those following cried out, saying, O salvation is with the Son of David. Blessed is he coming in the name of Yahweh. O salvation in the heights. And upon his coming into Jerusalem, all the city had been agitated, saying, Who is this man? And the crowd said, This is Yeshua the prophet, who is from Nazareth of Galilee. And Yeshua had entered into the temple, and he cast out all the dealers and buyers in the temple, and overturned the tables of the bankers, and the seats of those selling doves. And he says to them, It is written, My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of robbers. And they brought to him in the temple the blind and the lame, and he healed them. And seeing the wonders which he did, and the children who were in the temple crying out and saying, O salvation is with the Son of David, the high priests and the scribes were irritated and said to him, Do you hear what things they say? Then Yeshua says to them, Yes, have you never read that, from the mouths of babes and infants, you have restored praise? And leaving them, he departed out of the city to Bethania, and lodged there. Then, at dawn, going back to the city, he hungered. And seeing one fig tree by the road, he came upon it, and found nothing in it except leaves only. And he says to it, No longer shall there be fruit from you forever. And immediately the fig tree withered. And seeing it, the students marveled, saying, How could the fig tree have withered immediately? Then, responding, Yeshua said to them, Truly I say to you, if you would have faith and not doubt, you would not only do such of the fig tree, but should you also say to this mountain, Be raised and cast into the sea, it will be. And all things whatever you should ask in prayer, believing you shall receive. And upon his having come into the temple, while teaching, the high priests and the elders of the people came forth to him, saying, By what authority do you do these things? And who has given to you this authority? Then replying, Yeshua said to them, I shall also ask you one question, which if you should tell me, I also shall tell you by what authority I do these things. From where was the immersion of Johannes? From of heaven, or from of men? Then they disputed among themselves, saying, If we should say, From of heaven, he shall say to us, For what reason then had you not believed him? But if we should say, From of men, we fear the crowd, for they all esteem Johannes as a prophet. And replying to Yeshua, they said, We do not know. And he said to them, Neither do I tell you by what authority I do these things. Now, what do you suppose? A man had 2 sons, and having come forth to the first, he said, Son, go, today you must work in the vineyard. But he responding said, I do not want to. But regretting it, later he went. Then coming forth to the other, he spoke likewise. And responding, he said, I shall, master. Yet he had not gone. Who out of the 2 sons has done the will of the Father? They say, The first. Yeshua says to them, Truly I say to you that the tax collectors and the whores shall go into the kingdom of Yahweh before you. For Johannes came to you in the way of righteousness, and you did not believe him, but the tax collectors and the whores believed him. And you, seeing it, have not later repented, for which to believe him. Hear another parable. There was a man, a master of a house, who planted a vineyard, and put a fence around it, and dug a trough in it, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and he traveled abroad. Then, when the time for the fruits approached, he sent his servants to the husbandmen to receive of its fruits. And the husbandmen, taking his servants then, had cudgeled one, and killed another, and stoned another. Again he sent other servants, more than the first, and they did likewise to them. Then later he sent to them his son, saying, They shall respect my son. But the husbandmen, seeing the son, said among themselves, He is the heir. Come, we should kill him, that we would have his inheritance. And taking him, they cast him outside of the vineyard, and killed him. So, when the master of the vineyard should come, what shall he do to those husbandmen? They say to him, He shall destroy the wicked one horribly, and let the vineyard out to other husbandmen, who shall render to him the fruits in their seasons. Yeshua says to them, Have you not ever read in the writings, The stone which the builders have rejected, this has come to be for the head cornerstone. By Yahweh has this been done, and it is a wonder in our eyes? For this reason I say to you, that the kingdom of Yahweh shall be taken from you and given to a nation producing its fruits. And he falling upon this stone shall be broken in pieces, and upon whom it may fall, he shall be scattered like chaff. And hearing his parables, the high priests and the Pharisees knew that he speaks concerning them. And seeking to seize him, they feared the crowds, since they esteemed him to be a prophet.
Chapter 21. And when they had come near to Jerusalem, and they came into Bethphage to the Mount of Olives, then Joshua sent out 2 students, saying to them, Go into the village opposite you, and immediately you shall find a leashed ass and a colt with it. Releasing it, bring it to me. And if anyone should say something to you, say that the prince has need of them. Then once he shall send them. Now this happened in order that that which was spoken through the prophet would be fulfilled, saying, Speak to the daughter of Sion, Behold, your king comes to you, and mounted upon an ass, even upon a colt, son of a beast of burden. And the students going and doing just as Yah prescribed to them, they brought the ass and the foal and placed garments upon them, and he sat atop of them. Then most of the crowd had spread their own garments in the road, but others cut off branches from the trees and spread them in the road. Then the crowds leading him and those following cried out, saying, O salvation is with the Son of David. Blessed is he coming in the name of Yahweh. O salvation in the heights. And upon his coming into Jerusalem all the city had been agitated, saying, Who is this man? And the crowd said, This is Joshua the prophet, who is from Nazareth of Galilee. And Joshua had entered into the temple, and he cast out all the dealers and buyers in the temple, and overturned the tables of the bankers and the seats of those selling doves. And he says to them, It is written, My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of robbers. And they brought to him the temple the blind and the lame, and he healed them. And seeing the wonders which he did, and the children who were in the temple crying out, and saying, O salvation is with this David. The hypes and the scribes were irritated, and said to him, Do you hear what things they say? Then Joshua says to them, Yes. Have you never read that from the mouths of babes and infants you have restored praise? And leaving them, he departed out of the city to Bethania, and lodged there. Then at dawn, going back to the city, he hungered. And seeing one fig tree by the road, he came upon it, and found nothing in it except leaves only. And he says to it, No longer shall there be fruit from you forever. And immediately the fig tree withered. And seeing it the students marveled, saying, How could the fig tree have withered immediately? Then responding King Joshua said to them, Truly I say to you, if you would have faith and not doubt, you would not only do such of the fig tree, but should you also say to this mountain, Be raised and cast into the sea, it will be. And all things, whatever you should ask in prayer, believing you shall receive. And upon having come into the temple, while teaching, the high priests and the elders of the people came forth to him, saying, By what authority do you these things? And who has given to you this authority? Then replying, Joshua said to them, I shall also ask you one question, which if you should tell me, I also shall tell you by what authority I do these things. From where was the immersion from of heaven or from of men? Then they disputed among themselves, saying, If we should say, From of heaven, he shall say to us, For what reason then had you not believed him? But if we should say, From of men, we fear the crowd, for they all esteem Iohannes as a prophet. And replying to Joshua, they said, We do not know. And he said to them, Neither do I tell you, by what authority I do these things. Now what do you suppose? A man had 2 sons, and having come forth to the first he said, Son, go, today you must work in the vineyard. But he responding said, I do not want to, but regretting it later he went. Then coming forth to the other he spoke likewise. And responding he said, I shall, master. Yet he had not gone. Who out of the 2 sons has done the will of the Father? They say, the first. Joshua says to them, Truly I say to you that the tax collectors and the whores shall go into the kingdom of Yahweh before you. For Iohannes came to you in the way of righteousness, and you did not believe him. But the tax collectors and the whores believed him. And you seeing it have not later repented for which to believe him. Hear another parable. There was a man, a master of a house, who planted a vineyard and put a fence around it, and dug a trough in it, and built a tower and let it out to husbandmen, and he traveled abroad. Then when the time for the fruits approached, he sent his servants to the husbandman to receive of its fruits. And the husbandman, taking his servants, then had cudgeled one, and killed another, and stoned another. Again he sent other servants, more than the first, and they did likewise to them. Then later he sent to them his son, saying, They shall respect my son. But the husbandmen, seeing the son, said among themselves, He is the heir. Come, we should kill him, that we would have his inheritance. And taking him, they cast him outside of the vineyard and killed him. So when the master of the vineyard should come, what shall he do to those husbandmen? They say to him, He shall destroy the one horribly, and let the vineyard out to other husbandmen, who shall render to him the fruits in their seasons. Joshua says to them, Have you not ever read in the writings, The stone which the builders have rejected, this has come to be for the head cornerstone. By Yahweh has this been done, and it is a wonder in our eyes? For this reason I say to you, that the kingdom of Yahweh shall be taken from you, and given to a nation producing its fruits. And he falling upon this stone shall be broken in pieces, and upon whom it may fall, he shall be scattered like chaff. And hearing his parables the high priests and the Pharisees knew that he speaks concerning them. And seeking to seize him they feared the crowds, since they esteemed him to be a prophet. Chapter 22. And responding Joshua again spoke in parables to them, saying, The kingdom of the heavens may be compared to a man who is a king, who has made a wedding feast for his son. And he sent his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, and they did not wish to come. Again he sent other servants, saying, Tell those who are invited, Behold, my dinner is prepared, my bulls and fatlings are sacrificed, and all things are ready, come to the wedding feast. But they being uncaring departed, indeed one to his own farm, and another to his business, but the rest seizing his servants assaulted and killed them. And the king being angered, and sending his armies, destroyed those murderers, and burned their city. Then he says, Servants, the wedding feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. Therefore go along the outlets of the roads, and as many as you should find invite to the wedding feast. And those servants, having gone out into the roads, gathered all whom they found, both the wicked and the good, and the wedding feast had been filled with those dining. Then the king, upon entering to observe those dining, saw a man not clothed in a wedding garment, and he says to him, Friend, how have you entered into here, not having a wedding garment? But he was silent. Then the king said to the servants, Binding his feet and hands, Cast him out into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few chosen. Then going the Pharisees took counsel, how they may entrap him in speech. And they send to him their students with those of the partisans of Herodas, saying, Teacher, we know that you are true, and the way of God you teach in truth, and in you there is no thought for anyone, for you do not look at the stature of men. Therefore tell us, what do you suppose? Is it lawful to give the tax to Caesar or not? And Joshua, knowing their wickedness, said, Why do you try me, hypocrites? Show me the coin for the tax. And they presented to him a denarian. And he says to them, Whose image and inscription is it? They say to him, Caesar's. Then he says to them, Therefore render to Caesar, and to Yahweh the things of Yahweh. And hearing it they marveled, and leaving him they departed. In that day Sadducees came forth to him, saying there is not to be a resurrection. and questioning him, saying, Teacher, Moses said, if one should die not having children, his brother shall join in marriage, wife, raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were with us 7 brothers, and the first being married had died, and not having offspring left his wife to his brother. Likewise also the second and the third unto the 7th. Then the wife died after them all. Therefore in the resurrection, of which of the 7 shall the wife be? For they all had her. And replying Joshua said to them, Are you deceived, not knowing the writings, nor the power of Yahweh? For in the resurrection they neither marry, nor they give in marriage, but are like messengers in heaven. Now concerning the resurrection of the dead, have you not read that which was spoken to you by Yahweh, saying, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. He is not God of the dead, but of the living. And the crowds hearing were astonished by his teaching. Then the Pharisees, hearing that he had silenced the Sadducees, gathered together at that same place. And one from among them, a lawyer, making trial, questioned, Teacher, what is the great commandment in the law? And he said to him, Love Yahweh your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. The second is thusly, You shall love him near to you as yourself. By these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Then upon the Pharisees gathering together, Joshua questioned them, saying, What do you think concerning the Christ? Whose son is he? They say to him, That of David. He says to them, Then how does David by the Spirit call him Master, saying, Yahweh has said to my Master, Sit at my right hand, until when I should place your enemies beneath your feet. So if David calls him Master, how is he his son? And no one was able to answer him a word, nor did anyone venture from that day to question him any longer. Chapter 23. Then Joshua spoke to the crowds and to his students, saying, The scribes and the Pharisees sit upon the seat of Moses. Therefore all things whatever they should tell you, you do and you keep. But according to their deeds you do not do. For they say and do not do. And they bind burdens heavy and hard to bear, and lay them upon the shoulders of men. But they with their finger do not wish to move them. And all their deeds they do for which to be observed by men. For they broaden their phylacteries, and make great their fringes. And they loved the best seats at the dinners, and the first benches in the assembly halls, and the greetings in the markets, and to be called by men Rabbi. But you should not be called Rabbi, for one is your teacher, and you are all brothers. And you shall not call your Father upon the earth, for one is your Father, the heavenly. Neither should you be called guides, because one is your guide, the Christ. And he who is greater among you shall be your servant. Should exalt himself shall be humbled, and whoever should humble himself shall be exalted. And woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you shut up the kingdom of the heavens before men, for you do not enter in, nor do you allow and enter. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you go about the sea and the desert to make one convert, and when it happens you make him a son of Gehenna, twice as much as yourselves. Woe to you, blind guides, who say he who should swear by the temple, it is nothing. But he who should swear by the gold of the temple, he is obligated. Foolish and blind men. For what is greater, the gold or the temple which sanctifies the gold? And he who should swear by the altar, it is nothing. But he who should swear by the gift upon it, he is obligated. Foolish and blind men. For what is greater, the gift or the altar which sanctifies the gift? Therefore he who has sworn by the altar swears by it, and by all things which are upon it. And he who has sworn by the temple swears, and by him dwelling in it. And he who has sworn by heaven swears, by the throne of Yahweh, and by him sitting upon it. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! because you give a tenth of the mint and anise and cumin, and neglect the weightier matters of the law, judgment and mercy and faith. Yet it is necessary to do these things, and not neglecting those others. Blind guides, straining out the gnat, but swallowing the camel. Woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, because you cleanse the outside of the cup and the dish, but the insides are filled from rapine and incontinence. Blind Pharisees, cleanse first the insides of the cup and the dish, in order that the outsides of them shall be clean. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, because you are like whitewashed tombs, which indeed appear beautiful outside, but inside are full of the bones of corpses and all uncleanness. Thusly indeed you also outside appear righteous to men, but inside you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and adorn the monuments of the righteous, and you say, if we were in the days of our fathers, we would not been their partners in the blood of the prophets. Thusly you bear witness against yourselves. You are sons of those who murdered prophets, and you shall fulfill the measure of your fathers. Serpents, race of vipers, how could you escape from the judgment of Gehenna? For this reason, behold, I send to you prophets and wise men and scribes. Some of them you shall kill and crucify, and some of them you shall flog in your assembly halls, and persecute from city to city. Thusly should come upon you all the righteous blood poured out upon the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, who had been murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly I say to you, all these things shall come upon this race. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, she kills the prophets and stones those being sent to her. How often have I desired to gather your children, by which manner a hen gathers her chicks beneath her wings, and you desired it not. Behold, your house is left to you desolate. For I say to you, by no means may you see me from now until you should say, He coming in the name of Yahweh. Chapter 24. And departing Yahshua went from the temple, and his students came forth to point out to him the buildings of the temple. Then he responding said to them, Do you see all these things? Truly I say to you, by no means should there be left here a stone upon a stone which shall not be thrown down. Then with his sitting upon the Mount of Olives the students came forth to him by themselves, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what is the sign of your coming, and of the consummation of the age? And replying Yahshua said to them, Watch lest anyone should deceive you. For many shall come by my name, saying I am the Christ, and they shall deceive many. And you are going to hear of wars and reports of wars. See that you are not troubled, for it needs to happen, but not is the end. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and earthquakes in various places. And all these things are the beginning of travails. Then they shall hand you over into tribulation, and they shall kill you, and you shall be hated by all of the heathens on account of my name. And then many shall be entrapped, and they shall betray one another, and hate one another. And many false prophets shall arise, and they shall deceive many. And for reason that lawlessness is multiplied, the love of many shall grow cold. But he who endures unto the end, he shall be preserved. And this good message of the kingdom shall be proclaimed in the whole inhabited earth, for a testimony to all the nations, and then shall the end come. Therefore, when you should see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, he reading must understand. Then those who are in Judea must flee into the mountains. He upon the housetop must not go down to take his things from the house, and he in the field must not turn back to take his garment. But woe to those being pregnant, and those with infants in those days. And you must pray that your flight should not be in winter nor on the Sabbath. For at that time there shall be great tribulation, such as has not happened from the society until now, nor by any means should happen, and unless those days would be shortened, there would not be any flesh saved. But on account of the elect shall those days be shortened. At that time, if anyone should say to you, Look, here is the Christ, or there, do not believe it. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and they shall present great signs and wonders so as to deceive, if possible, even the elect. Behold, I have told you beforehand. Therefore, if they should say to you, Look, he is in the desert, you must not depart. In the treasury, do not believe it. For just as lightning comes out from the east, and appears so far as the west, thusly shall coming of the Son of Man, wherever the corpse may be. The eagles shall be gathered. And immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And at that time the sign of the Son of Man shall appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming upon the clouds of heaven with power and much effulgence. And he shall send his messengers with a great trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from out of the four winds, from the ends of the heavens unto the extremity of them. Now learn from the parable of the fig tree, when already its branches should be tender, and it would produce leaves, you know that summer is near. Thusly also you, when you should see all these things, know that it is near by the doors. Truly I say to you, that by no means should this race escape, till all these things should happen. The heaven and the earth shall pass, but my words shall by no means pass. But concerning that day and hour no one knows, not the messengers of the heavens nor the Son, except the Father only. For just as the days of Noah, thusly shall be the coming of the Son of Man. For as they were in those days, before the deluge, eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the vessel, and they did not know until the deluge had come and all were taken, thusly shall be the coming of the Son of Man. At that time, two shall be in the field, one shall be taken, and one left alone. Two shall be grinding grain at the mill, one shall be taken, and one left alone. Therefore you must be alert, because you do not know in what day your prince comes. But know this, that if the master of the house knew in which hour of the night the thief comes, he would have been alert, and would not have allowed his house to be dug through. For this reason you also must be ready, because you cannot determine at which hour the Son of Man comes. Who then is the faithful and wise slave whom the master has appointed over his household, for which to give to them food at the appropriate time? Blessed is whom having come his master shall find doing thusly. Truly I say to you, that he shall appoint him over all of his properties. But if that bad slave should say in his heart, My master delays, and he should begin to beat his fellow slaves, and should eat and drink with the drunkards, the master of that slave shall come on a day which he does not expect, and at an hour which he does not know, and he shall cut him in two, set his portion with the hypocrites. There shall there be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Chapter 25. At that time the kingdom of the heavens shall be like 10 virgins, who taking their own lamps went out for a meeting with the bridegroom. Now 5 of them were fools and 5 wise. For the fools taking their lamps did not take for themselves oil, but the wise took oil in the vessels with their lamps. And with the bridegroom delaying, they all gotten drowsy and slept. Then there came a cry at midnight, Behold, the bridegroom, come for a meeting with him. Then all those virgins arose and prepared their own lamps. And the fools said to the wise, Give to us some of your oil, because our lamps are extinguished. But the wise replied, saying, Never. By no means would it be sufficient for us and for you. Rather you must go to the dealers and buy it for yourselves. But upon their having departed to buy it, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready entered in with him into the wedding feast, and shut the door. Then later the rest of the virgins also came, saying, Master, Master, open for us. But responding he said, Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Therefore you must be alert, because you know not the day nor the hour. For it is just like a man traveling abroad, who called his own slaves, and turned over to them his properties. And while to one he had given 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability, then he went abroad. Immediately going he, receiving the 5 talents, conducted business with them, and profited 5 others. Likewise he with the 2 profited 2 others. But he, receiving the 1, having departed, dug into the ground, and hid the silver of his master. Then after much time the master of those slaves comes, and takes an account together with them. And he, receiving the 5 talents, coming forth, presented 5 other talents, saying, Master, you turned over to me 5 talents. Behold, I have profited another 5 talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful slave. With a little you were faithful, shall appoint you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Coming forth also he with the 2 talents said, Master, you turned over to me 2 talents. Behold, I have profited another 2 talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful slave. With a little you were faithful, I shall appoint you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Then coming forth also he who received the 1 talent said, Master, I owe you that you are a hard man, reaping from where you have not sown, and gathering from where you have not scattered. And being in fear, having departed, I hid your talent in the earth. Behold, have that which is yours. But replying his master said to him, Wicked and timid slave, you knew that I reap from where I have not sown, and I gather from where I have not scattered. Therefore it was necessary for you to deposit my silver with the bankers, and coming I would have received that which is mine with interest. So take the talent from him, and give it to him having the 10 talents. For to each having it shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But to he not having, even that which he has shall be taken from him. And the useless slave shall be cast out into the outer darkness. There shall be weeping, and gnashing of teeth. And when the Son of Man should come in his effulgence, and all the messengers with him, then he shall sit upon his throne of honor. And they shall gather full of all the nations, and he shall separate them from one another, just as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he shall indeed stand the sheep at his right hand, but the goats at his left hand. Then the king shall say to those at his right hand, Come, those blessed of my Father, you shall inherit the kingdom which has been prepared for you from the foundation of society. For I hungered, and you gave me to eat. I had thirst, and you had given me drink. I was a visitor, and you had taken me in. Naked, and you had clothed me. I had been sick, and you watched over me. I was in prison, and you had come to me. Then the righteous shall respond to him, saying, Master, when have we seen you hungry, and nourished you, or thirsting, and had given drink? And when have we seen you a visitor, and had taken you in, or naked, and had clothed you? And when have we seen you being sick, or in prison, and had come to you? And replying the king shall say to them, Truly I say to you, for whomever of the least of my brethren have you done one of these things, you have done them for me. Then he shall say also those at the left hand, Go from me, accursed, into the eternal fire, which has been prepared for the false accuser and his messengers. For I hungered, and you did not give me to eat, and I had thirst, and you had not given me drink. I was a visitor, and you had not taken me in, naked, and you had not clothed me, sick and in prison, and you had not visited me. Then they themselves shall also respond, saying, Master, when have we seen you hungry, or thirsting, or a visitor, or naked, or sick, or not risen, then served? Then he shall respond to them, saying, Truly I say to you, for whatever you have not done for one of the least of these, neither have you done them for me. And they shall go off into the eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. Chapter 24. And it came to pass that when Joshua had finished all these sayings, he said to his students, You know that after 2 days it shall be Passover, and the Son of Man is handed over for which to be crucified. At that time the high priests and the elders of gathered together in the court of the high priest, who is called Caiaphas, and they took counsel that they shall seize and kill Joshua. But they said, Not on the feast, in order that there would not be a tumult among the people. Then upon Joshua's being in Bethania, at the house of Simon the leper, a woman came forth to him having a box of very valuable ointment, and with his reclining she had poured it upon his head. But seeing it the students had been annoyed, saying, What is this waste? Indeed, this was able to be sold for much, and to be given to the poor. And knowing it, Joshua said to them, Why do you offer the woman trouble? Surely she has performed a good deed for me. For you always have the poor among you, but you do not ought always have me. Indeed, she putting this ointment upon my body has done it, for which to prepare me for burial. Truly I say to you, wherever in all of society this good message should be proclaimed, this which she has done shall also be spoken for a memorial of her. Then one of the 12, he who is called Judas Iscariot, going to the high priests said, What do you want to give me, and I shall betray him to you? And they appointed for him 30 silver pieces. From that time he sought an opportunity that he could betray him. Then on the first day of unleavened bread the students came forth to Joshua, saying, Where do that we should prepare for you to eat the Passover? And he said, Go into the city to a certain man, and say to him, The teacher says, My time is near. With you I shall keep the Passover with my students. And the students did as Joshua had arranged for them, and they prepared the Passover. Then it being late, he reclined, the 12. And upon their eating he said, Truly I say to you, that one from among you shall betray me. And being exceedingly grieved, each one began to say to him, Prince, am I the one? Then responding, he said, He having dipped the hand with mine into the bowl, he shall betray me. Indeed, the Son of Man goes just as it is written concerning him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It was good for him if that man had not been born. Then responding, Judas, who betrays him, said, Am I the one, Rabbi? He says to him, You know. Then upon their eating, Joshua, taking and blessing the wheat bread, broke it, and giving it to the students, said, Eat, this is my body. And taking a cup in thanks gave it to them, saying, All of you drum it, for this is my blood of the covenant, which on account of many is being poured out for a remission of errors. But I say to you, by no means shall I drink even now from this produce of the vine, until that day when I shall drink it anew in the kingdom of my Father. And singing hymns they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then Joshua says to them, You shall all be made to stumble by me on this night. For it is written, I shall smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered. And after what it takes for me to be raised, I shall forward you into Galilee. Then responding Petros said him, If all are made to stumble by you, I shall not ever be made to stumble. Joshua said to him, Truly I say to you, on this night before a cock shall crow, 3 times you shall deny me. Petros says to him, even if it would be necessary for me to die with you, by no means shall I deny you. Likewise also spoke all the students. Then Joshua goes with them into a place called Gethsemane, and says to the students, sit in this spot, while upon departing over there I shall pray. And taking Petros and the 2 sons of Zebedios, he began to be grieved and troubled. Then he says to them, my soul is deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here, and stay awake with me. And having gone forth a little, he fell upon his face, praying, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass away from me, but not as I desire, rather as you do. And he comes to the students and finds them sleeping, and says to Petros, thus are you not able for 1 hour to stay awake with me? Stay awake and pray, that you would not enter into trial. Indeed, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Again, for a second time departing, he prayed, saying, my Father, if this is not able to pass unless I would drink it, it must be your will. And coming again, he found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. And leaving them again, having gone, he prayed for a 3rd time, having spoken the same speech. Again then he comes to the students and says to them, finally then are you rested? The hour is near, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of wrongdoers. Arise, we must go. Behold, he who is betraying me is near. And upon his still speaking, behold, Judas had come, one of the 12, and with him a great crowd, with swords and clubs, from the high priests and elders of the people. And he betraying him had given to them a sign, saying, he whom I should kiss is him, seize him. And immediately, having come forth to Joshua, he said, greetings, Rabbi, and he kissed him. Then Joshua said to him, friend, for what are you here? Then having come forth, they laid hands upon Joshua and seized him. And behold, one of those with Joshua extended and drew his sword, and smiting the servant of the high priest, took off his ear. Then Joshua says to him, return your sword into its place, for all those taking the sword shall be destroyed by the sword. Or do you suppose that I am not able to summon my Father, and he shall have come to me, now over 12 legions of messengers? Then how would the writings be fulfilled, that thusly it is necessary to happen? At that moment Joshua said to the crowds, as for a robber you have come out with swords and clubs to take. Each day I sat in the temple teaching, and you did not seize me, but all this has happened, that the writings of the prophets may be fulfilled. Then the students, all leaving him, fled, and those having seized Joshua led him off to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders had gathered. But Petros followed him from afar, unto the court of the high priest, and entering inside sat with the deputies to see the outcome. Then the high priests and the entire council sought false testimony against Joshua, that they may kill him. Yet they found not many false witnesses coming forth. But later 2 having come forth said, he said this, I am able to destroy the temple of Yahweh, and in 3 days I will build it. And arising the high priest said to him, would you answer nothing for what they testify against you? But Joshua was silent. And the high priest said to him, I adjure you by the living God, you would tell us whether you are the anointed Son of God. Joshua says to him, you have spoken. But I say to you, from this time you shall see the Son of Man, sitting at the right hand of power, and coming on the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest tore his garments, saying, he has blasphemed. What further need do we have of witnesses? Behold, now you have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? And those replying said, he is liable for death. Then they spat in his face and beat him. And they had struck him, saying, prophesy to us, Christ, who is it who is hitting you? And Petros sat outside in the court, And one servant girl had come forth to him, saying, You also were with Joshua the Galilean. But he denied it before all, saying, I know not what you say. And having gone out, another saw him, and says to those there, He was with Joshua, Nazaraean. And again he denied with an oath that, I do not know the man. Then after a short time those standing having come forth said to Petros, Truly, you also are from among them, for even your speech makes you conspicuous. Then he began to curse and to swear, that I do not know the man. And immediately a cock crowed. And Petros remembered the words spoken Joshua, that before a cock shall crow, 3 times you shall deny me. And going out he wept bitterly. Chapter 27. And it being early morning, all the high priests and the elders of the people had taken counsel against Joshua for how to kill him. And having bound him, they led him away, and handed him over to Pilatos the governor. Then Iudas, his betrayer, seeing that he had been condemned, feeling regret, turned the 30 silver pieces to the high priests and elders, saying, I have erred, having betrayed innocent blood. But they said, What is it to us? You'll see. And casting the silver pieces into the temple, he departed, and having gone off, he hanged himself. But the high priests, taking the silver pieces, said, It is not lawful to cast these into the temple offering, since it is the payment for blood. Then, taking counsel, they bought with them the field of the potter, for a burial place for visitors, on which account that field is called Field of Blood, unto day. Then that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled, saying, And they took the 30 silver pieces, the value of he being valued, which was valued by the sons of Israel, and they gave them for the field of the potter, just as Yahweh prescribed for me. Then Joshua stood before the governor, and the governor questioned him, saying, Are you the king of the Judeans? And Joshua said to him, You say. And to that which had been brought as an accusation against him by the high priests and the elders, he answered nothing. Then Pilatos says to him, Do you not hear how many things they testify against you? And he did not reply to him with even one word. So the governor to wonder exceedingly, and each feast the governor was accustomed 1 prisoner for the crowd, whom they desired. And they had at that time a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore upon their convening, Pilatos said to them, Whom do you wish that I shall release for you, Barabbas or Joshua, who is called Christ? For he knew that, on account of jealousy, they handed him over. Then with his sitting upon the step, his wife sent to him, saying, Nothing with you and that man. For today I experienced many things in a dream on account of him. But the high priests and the elders persuaded the crowds that they should request Barabbas, and that they should destroy Joshua. And replying, the governor said to them, Which from the 2 do you wish that I shall release for you? Then they said, Barabbas. Pilatos says to them, What shall I do with Joshua, who is called Christ? They all say, He must be crucified. Then he said, For what evil has he done? But they cried out excessively, saying, He must be crucified. And Pilatos, seeing that nothing helps, but rather a tumult arises, taking water washed the hands before the crowd, saying, I am innocent from the blood of this man. You see to it. And responding, all the people said, His blood is upon us, and upon our children. Then he released Barabbas for them, but having scourged Joshua, he handed him over, in order that he would be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor, taking Joshua into the praetorium, the whole cohort gathered upon him, and clothing him, they wrapped around him a scarlet cloak, and braiding a crown out of thorns, they set it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand, and falling to the knees before him they had mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Judeans! And spitting at him, they took the reed and beat it on his head. And when they had mocked him, They stripped him of the cloak, and clothed him in his garments, and led him off for which to be crucified. And going they found a man, a Cyrenian with the name Simon. Him they had conscripted in order that he would carry his cross. And having come to a place called Golgotha, which is called Place of the Skull, they gave to him wine mixed with bitters to drink. And having tasted it, he did not wish to drink. Then crucifying him, they parted his garments, casting lots, and being seated watched him there. And they set his charge above his head, being written, This is Joshua, the king of the Judeans. Then they crucify with him 2 robbers, one on the right hand, and one on the left. And those going by blasphemed him, shaking their heads and saying, He destroying the temple and building it in 3 days. Save yourself. If you are a son of God, then you must come down from the cross. Likewise also the high priests, mocking along with the scribes and elders, said, He has saved others, is he not able to save himself? Is he king of Israel? Let him descend now from the cross, and we shall believe in him. He trusted in God, he must deliver him now if he wishes, for he said that I am a son of God. And with that same thing even the robbers, who were crucified with him, reproached him. Then, from the 6th hour, came darkness upon all the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Joshua cried out with a great voice, saying, Eloi, lema sabachthani, which is my God, God, for what reason have you abandoned me? But some of those who stood there hearing it said that he calls Elijah. And immediately one from among them running and taking both a sponge full of vinegar, and placing it upon a reed, gave him to drink. But the rest said, Leave him, that we would see whether Elijah comes saving him. But another, taking a lance, pierced his side, and there came out round blood. Then Joshua, again crying out with a great voice, gave up the spirit. And behold, the curtain of the temple had torn in 2 from the top unto the bottom, and the earth had been shaken, and the rocks split. And the tombs had opened, and many bodies of the saints, who were sleeping, had been raised. And coming out from the tombs, after his rising, they entered into the holy city, and had appeared to many. Then the centurion and those with him guarding Joshua, seeing the earthquake, and the things which happened, feared exceedingly, saying, Truly he was a son of God. And there were many women there observing from afar, who had followed with Joshua from Galilee to serve him. Among them were Maria the Magdalene, and Maria, the mother of Icobos, and Ioseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedios. And it becoming late, there had come a wealthy man from Arimathea, with the name Ioseph, who also himself had been instructed by Joshua. He, having gone forth to Pilatos, requested the body of Joshua. Then Pilatos commanded that it be turned over. And taking the body, Ioseph wrapped it in a clean fine linen cloth, and set it in his own new tomb, which had been hewn in the bedrock, and rolling a great stone up to the door of the tomb, he departed. And Mariam the Magdalene and the other Maria were there sitting before the burial place. Then in the morning, which is after the preparation day, the high priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilatos, saying, Master, we have remembered that, while living, that deceiver said, After 3 days I shall be raised. Therefore command that the burial place is to be secured until the 3rd day, lest coming his students should steal him, and would say to the people, He has been raised from the dead, and the last deception shall be worse than the first. Pilatos said to them, You have a sentry, you go secure it, so that you know. Then they going secured the burial place, sealing the stone with the sentry, and it being late on the Sabbath, while approaching dawn on the 1st day of the week, Mariam the Magdalene and the other Maria had come to watch the burial place. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for a messenger Yahweh descended out of heaven, and having come forth rolled the stone away, and sat upon it. And his appearance was as lightning, and his garment white as snow. And from fear of him those watching trembled, and had become as dead. Then responding, the messenger said to the women, You must not fear, for I know that you seek Joshua who had been crucified. He is not here, for he has arisen just as he said. Come, see the burial place where he laid, and going quickly you tell his students that he has arisen from among the dead, and behold, you go ahead into Galilee. There you shall see him. Behold, I have spoken to you. And having departed quickly from the tomb, with fear and great joy, they ran to report it to his students. And behold, Joshua met with them, saying, Greetings. And they having come forth grasped his feet, and worshipped him. Then Joshua says to them, Do not fear, go report to my brethren, that they should depart into Galilee, and there they shall see me. And upon their going, behold, some of the sentry having gone into the city, reported to the high priests all the things which happened. And gathering with the elders, and then taking counsel, they gave a considerable number of silver pieces to the soldiers, saying, Say that his students, having come at night, stole him upon our being asleep. And if this should be heard by the governor, we shall persuade him, and we shall make you free from concern. And they, taking the silver pieces, did as they were instructed. And this report has been uttered by the Judeans until this day today. Then the 11 students had gone into Galilee to the mountain where Joshua appointed them. And seeing him they made obeisance, but they doubted. Coming forth, Joshua spoke to them, saying, All authority in heaven and upon the earth has been given to me. Therefore going you instruct all of the nations, immersing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to keep all things whatever I have commanded to you. And behold, I am with you all the days until the consummation of the age.